that the Trinity is illogical, i.e., 1 + 1 + 1. How do you get one out of that?
Yeah, we believe in one God. They also claim to be monotheist, mono meaning one, theos meaning God.
That's what Tawhid means, right? It means
Tawhid means unification. We'll get more into that in a second. But when we're talking about the objection, it's not necessarily in Christian doctrine anymore in terms of salvation, but now it's in the very nature of God. And the Quran is fraught with this. We'll get more into it as we get into further objections. But its main beef with Christianity seems to be the claim, and this is foreshadowing, but that we believe in three gods, not one God. We need to believe in one God like the Muslims. The Muslims are the ones who believe in one God. The Christians are the ones that believe in three gods. Now, it didn't get the definition of the Trinity right. We'll get to that in a second. But when it objects to the Trinity, they'll usually put that mathematical absurdism up there. It's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 1. That's not math. And we'd agree, that's not math. 3 does not equal 1. But if, on the other hand, you're going to ask the question, and this is equally as important, play on their terms, use their standard and rules against them. And in here, we just not only need to understand what the definition of the Trinity is, but ask, if these are the rules, does your own religion survive? Because when we claim that God is a Trinity, that is a very unique term describing a very unique phenomena where God is three in person and one in person. Three
No.
in being, one in being? No, there can be, and this is important, more than one of something in one sense and another type of something in another sense. For example,
one what, three who. So it's category mistake. We're saying that when it comes to being, God is one. When it comes to personhood, he is triune.
right, and if we're going to then use a term that hopefully they will respect and be familiar with, we go to their Quran. Now, in the Quran, at least in the most popular version, there are 114 surahs. Now, how can you, as a Muslim, say that you believe in one Quran when there are 114 Qurans? Well, they'd roll their eyes and say, no, a chapter is not the same thing as the whole book. You can have more than one of something in one sense and another number of something in another sense, and it not being a contradiction. But wait, I thought if you have a number of something, that means that you have that number of something. You have to specify 3 of what, 1 of what, 114 of what. If we say that God is 3 in person and 1 in person, that is a problem. That would be saying 1 + 1 + 1 = 1. But if our argument is, and I'm not going to go the route of saying 1 times 1 is times 1 times 1 is 1. That's not what we're arguing. We're saying God is 3 in one sense, 1 in another sense. The reason we come to that conclusion is because of the following 4 truth statements. First, there is only one God. Muslims agree. We can cite the Quran and the Bible. Deuteronomy 6:4 is as plain as day. But then we also ask the question, are there certain things only God can do, and be honest? For example, in the Quran, does it note who created the heavens and the earth? Allah. Who is the one who judges the living and the dead? Allah. Who is the only one who has the right to forgive sins? Allah. Okay. When God claims those things, that's a rule. That's a standard. They're either telling the truth or they're lying. They're either God or they're not. But they're doing things only God can do. That's the second rule of the Trinity. The third rule of the Trinity is that there are 3 beings, 3 titles, 3 centers of consciousness that do the sort of things only God can do. We call them Father, in reference to, of course, the book of Isaiah, chapter 64, where it notes, you are the potter, we are the clay, we are the work of your hand. Notes Father as creator, much to the chagrin of Surah 112. The Son in Isaiah 9:6, where it's given the title of Mighty God, El Gibor in Hebrew. And the Spirit, where in the book of Job, chapter 33, in verse 4, where it notes him as the giver of life. These are things only God can truthfully say about himself. That's the point. So then we ask, okay, so does God function in 3 forms, 3 modes? No, that's a heresy. The fourth rule of the Trinity is that, what? These centers of consciousness, these independent beings, all function independently from one another. See Isaiah 48:16, where God and his Spirit send God. Or the baptism of Jesus in Mark 1:9, where Jesus is being baptized, the Spirit descends upon him as a dove, and the Father speaks from heaven saying, this is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. Now, if you want to say, well, that's a corruption, see the first objection. But here's the point. The doctrine of the Trinity isn't that we say 3 and 1. We say 3 in one sense, 1 in another sense. It would be the same kind of absurdity to say, for example, in the Quran, says that Allah's mercy triumphs over his wrath. So is Allah merciful or is he wrathful? He has more than one attribute. How can there be only one Allah? Well, of course, you can have one consciousness with multiple motions inside of it. It's not like Inside Out where there's these little, cartoon characters from Pixar debating inside of Allah and stuff, and suddenly all those things are different parts of Allah. We're noting these things categorically, that Allah is one in being, Tawheed.
It'd be like
But-
me saying, according to the Quran, God is 99 because it says something 99 about him.
99 names, yeah.
Yeah, but that's 99. So how do you get 1 out of 99? And obviously, I'm
You
being
can have-
logical, but it's the
You're-
same kind of argument.
And we, of course, want to give them enough credit to notice the error. And if they don't, then just walk them through, give them other examples like Adrian did. But that's the way that you respond to that issue. You say not 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. You define the Trinity. You give an Islamic illustration where they wouldn't object to it and say, are you throwing out your own religion, or are you at least going to properly represent mine?